Yes, for like since June last year, the KDI has been observing and monitoring issues of violence and potential for violence in both Edo and Ondo. And to our surprising, before the election, the tension in in both states were high, and we recorded huge amount of violence and potential for violence, ranging from physical harm, murder, and destruction of properties. And but at the end of the day, it is surprising to know that in Ondo, over 157 cases of violence was recorded during that election, and the same goes for Edo. So it shows that we need to really step up. And of course, the election was adjudged peaceful, but with our record, with our findings, a lot of violence took place. Most especially, there are some that are psychological, there are some that are physical harm, there are some that are murder. People died in that election. Some even INEC officials some INEC officials were shot during the election. All of them were properly documented in the report. So, but we are using this opportunity to, avenue to call attention to for the government to make sure that henceforth, like what we have done is to see that most of the electoral offenders are prosecuted duly, because most when you don't prosecute them, now they grow wing and come back with full force and do it with impunity next time. And again, one of our recommendation again with what we have seen is to begin to look at a special electoral court that will undo this, that will look into swift prosecution of cases, so that people can be brought to book. Now, for instance, in 2019, over 1,500 people were arrested, during the general election. But as we stand, you will notice that nobody has been prosecuted. You've seen the police saying it's the duty of the INEC. INEC will say it's not their duty. So there needs to be a legislative clearance on who should prosecute and who investigate, and then so that we can always have peaceful election. Another thing that we've also noticed from our findings and our report is that now people are scared to come out and vote because of the tension of violence that was in those states. So there is a correlation between violence and voter apathy. So we need to now begin for, if you want to really have free, fair, and credible election in 2023, we need to begin to put some of these things in place, recommendations in place, have a safer environment where people can come out and vote without being intimidated. Then we are likely going to have high voter turnout without no voter apathy.
What impact do you think this your data report will have on Nigerians, and what do you want to achieve with this?
Yes, what we want to achieve with this is to, number one, bring to let the stakeholder knows exactly what is really going on. And what we have done with with the presentation I made, this is empirical data, research backed up. When you look at our data, like I said, you find the dates there, the time, the perpetrator, the victim. All of them are well documented. So what we want to know, that people need to see the record, because when people don't have access to the data, they don't see the seriousness in it. So you see the people that died, you can with properly documented, and then what we are now looking at, we have the police here, we have INEC here, is to foster collaboration between the two agencies and the CSO to see how we can mitigate. So what do we want to achieve? Bring the awareness to the people to see what has happened, and again, how do we continue to mitigate issue of electoral violence? And the conversation has started, and it's something we need to see, that we now have an improved election in come 2023.
Okay, so this empirical data you've been talking of, how are you able to get data from even those in rural areas, and then even the data you say you get, how do you intend that they are able to, see it and it applies to them?
Yes, like you said, we have monitors across all the local government and wards. So, and the rural area also, they are part of a ward, they are part of a local government. So